Um, in Timothy Flanders' appendix in this book, he talks about satyagraha, the truth force, that it does not exclude the adversary, but tries to draw in the opponent as a participant and a beneficiary in the solution. And I think that's a good description of what we're doing in mediation. The second major attitude that I want to mention is approaching conflict with the intention of deep and effective listening, not as judges of the truth. Mediators are not there to try to figure out, well, what really happened. But we're seeking to hear all those subjective truths that get voiced by the various parties that are present. Again, Timothy Flinders in this book said, satyagraha continually is looking for truth. And he says, even in the opponent's position. And I would say for us, especially in the opponent's position. Now, how do we do this? It's a challenge, and I would suggest that a key to it is to try and focus as much as we can on the other person, on the person we're facing. Let go of questions of, how am I doing here? Am I managing this well? But just focus with real curiosity and genuine care for the other person. And it can open us up to the possibility of a real understanding there. One of the other trainers in Humboldt Mediation Services likes to talk about the platinum rule. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with the golden rule. Yes. Do unto others. Right. Well, Sandra wants to point out that there's a higher level of that, and so she's named it, or someone has named it, the platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. So this requires that kind of focus on what the other person is feeling, what they've experienced, what they need here. It means detaching ourselves from the outcome. So we're entering into an exchange with this person, maybe in a conflict situation, without any attachment to the need to be able to give advice or to solve their problem. We're there to listen. Also in this book, Eknath Eswaran, I read that Eknath is his surname, and Eswaran is his given name. I don't know how to call him. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly either. But he wrote, detachment is not apathy or indifference. It is the prerequisite for effective involvement. Often what we think is best for others is distorted by our attachment to our own opinions. I have found a wealth of suggestions and insights in here. The third significant attitude that I want to mention, and I can hear Aretha Franklin singing in the background, and that's respect. Respect for the thoughts and for the feelings and for the needs and for the resources of the other person. So we are challenged with that when we work as mediators, working with other parties, to remember that the resources that those parties bring to the table are the most important resources that are there. And if sometimes it's a challenge to respect. You know, if we hear someone expressing things that sound really hateful or self-serving are closed-minded. It may take a struggle for us to find something in what they're saying that we can respect. So we have to listen for what are the underlying needs that they're expressing. And I suggest that always we can find something there that we have in common with them that can show us a road to that respect. And respect is essential. Carl Rogers talked about positive regard for the people that he worked with when he did counseling. He said, without positive regard, nothing worthwhile can happen in a relationship. I think it's worth talking about what can happen, how can you manage this if you're feeling attacked? And that can make it, we get defensive, it can make it even more challenging to express respect and positive regard for the other person if we feel like they're running us down or attacking us or even physically attacking us. Oh, we have 2 minutes? Okay. We may run past the DVD time, but I've just recently, I never had any experience with Aikido before, just recently started taking an Aikido class. And I am impressed by the teacher's view of an attack. Someone grabs your arm. She says you see it as a gift of engagement. So you give them your arm and take their energy and include them in your universe. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be able to do that right now, but the attitude that when someone's attacking, it is a gift of engagement. And just the fourth major attitude, just as we have been listening for the underlying feelings and needs of the other person, we need to hear our own. So we have to pay attention to what's going on inside us and what we're needing. Because we need to express something to someone. We can formulate that so it comes out not as an attack, but as an I message. People familiar with I messages? An I message can express our legitimate needs, express it firmly and clearly. And the attitude that undergirds a true I message is just as essential to conflict management as it is, ahimsa is to nonviolence, meaning no desire to harm or hurt anyone else. So disclosing something about ourselves in an I message is risky, but it's honest, and it's firm, but it's not accusatory. And this is our gift to someone else, to really engage with them by revealing to them something of what is meaningful to us, what we care about. So let me double check on time. How much more time do I have for the folks seated here? 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. I'm gonna skip another Gandhi quote. We can share that later. I do want to say that. I'll touch on the last two attitudes that I wanted to stress. One is trust. I see trust as being a very practical choice. Gandhi said distrust is a sign of weakness. And that set me thinking. I think when we go into a relationship, whether it's a mediation or an encounter on the street, expecting honesty and full sharing, we're much more likely to find that. And even if it doesn't happen, by continuing to expect it, that decision to trust becomes a very important strength that we can then share with the other people we're relating to. And the sixth, the final important attitude that I've identified is the value of fairness. It's been very pleasing to me to see how almost universally people value fairness. So if everyone wants things to be fair, why is there ever conflict? People have different ideas about what's fair. But we've seen both from life experience and from laboratory experiments that even those people who are given the advantage in some unfair decision are quite uncomfortable with that. They don't like for things not to be fair. And I think that's something that can lead us through many conflicts if we truly engage with trying to figure out how did we come to have different ideas about what's fair here? What would make this situation fair? So believing that these predispositions will help us to apply constructive measures in the face of conflict, how can we adopt these attitudes? Some, like Gandhi, I think, through study or meditation, can come to a real deep transformation of the spirit that completely opens these possibilities up to them. I haven't experienced that. What I've experienced is that if we start acting like we care, start acting like we respect people, start acting as though we trust this other person, that the attitude begins to follow. And the stronger the attitude becomes, the more genuine these techniques and strategies are. And the more you practice the strategies, the deeper and more genuine the attitudes become. So the role plays that you could participate in if you took our training for volunteer mediators and the mediation sessions that we do are excellent opportunities to practice these techniques. And in addition, I think we can all adopt the daily practice of these skills and attitudes in relationship with family, co-workers, friends, and all our encounters. So I welcome your participation in any of the further work of HMS, and I welcome questions at whatever point we have an opportunity for that. So, thank you.